The Afterparty is one of the funniest, most impressive, amazingly well-made TV series I've seen in a long time. It's a murder mystery whodunit set around a high school reunion, and then they go to an afterparty, and then there's a murder! And we see each episode from the perspective of all the characters at this afterparty. But we don't just follow their perspectives take on a new genre. So each episode is brilliantly crafted to kind of focus in on a new genre. We get a rom-com, we get an action, we get a thriller, we get a musical, and we have a lot of fun with doing all of this. But what elevates this to be cleverer and funnier and more engaging in all levels is that each time we delve into the night of the murder, we not only see new genres, but the perspective changes in a way where we see events play out in one way, and then we'll see the exact same event play out in a different way, but depending on who's looking at that situation, the actors and their actions are totally different. People see each other and view each other in different ways. Sometimes they come across more tough, manly action hero. Sometimes, we'll see a big action fight, and then 3 episodes later, we'll see the reveal of what really happened in that fight, which is a terrible bop to the head punch and then running away like a coward. We'll see situations where someone is doing a whole thing and they're a drunken mess, and then we'll see their perspective. And they're not some drunk with, that's just all over the place. There's so much pathos to it because they're faking being drunk to try and get this person alone because they think they're being stalked by this other person. And every single episode and each scene slowly kind of unravels this night, which is so brilliantly crafted, brilliantly staged, and kind of put together. It's like this puzzle piece they had, and then they just throw it all over the place, and they just show us the puzzle pieces they need to show us as it goes on, while just having an absolutely hilarious, fun time of doing a comedy murder mystery show with spectacular performances from everybody. Really, really fun, engaging performances. All the characters are really likable. They start off as kind of cliches, and then when we see their cliche world perspective, where one goes I'm the tough action hero, and I love my daughter, and I'm from a Fast and Furious movie. But through that, there's so much more heart than when anyone else sees him. And I just found that so amazing, so good. I just found it such an interesting new way to kind of handle that. It's almost kind of a cliche genre trope now. And I feel like Lost kind of, made it popular, at least, if not doing it the first time, where each episode will focus on a character. And there's lots of other shows that do this. Skins did it. Most recently, the murder mystery show Eden, the Australian show, really great show, check it out. But this show kind of does that trope where you see each episode from a character's perspective, but they really ramp it up in that everyone has this cartoonish view of not only themselves, and they kind of heighten and push themselves up, but a cartoonish, different kind of worldview on everyone else. And I found this so engaging and fascinating to really kind of think about the fact that how you see yourself and how everyone sees themselves is not how other people see you, and each other person sees you differently. So some people see you as charming or this or that, and other people see you as cheesy or lame or an action hero or just some guy and you don't even notice him. So I found that really, really engaging. I think that's kind of the best part of this show, and I think they utilize it brilliantly, where when it gets to the end of the series and it's revealed who did it, I was so swept off my feet and heartbroken and devastated by it because of what we'd been shown beforehand. And so setting the stage for this murder mystery show where everyone's at an after party and the murder takes place, and it's all set at a high school reunion 15 years after high school. And that just is such a clever and interesting kind of place to set it, because somewhere like a high school reunion is somewhere where you're kind of reflecting on the past. You can't really escape the past. And high school is such a great kind of place to kind of set this to, because we get that high school teen drama episode, and it kind of sets the stage for all these characters and where they want to be and who they are at that point. But now we see 15 years later, and some of them haven't been able to let go of the past, and some of them are totally new people, like Xavier, the murder victim, Dave Franco as a really great, hilarious, often very snobbish and arrogant and very unlikable character. Then we see moments throughout the series where it's no, this guy was he had that worst night that night, and he was heartbroken by his best friend betraying him. But then he became a superstar, and so I don't know. I found it just so interesting the way that they're utilizing high school and the way they're always thinking back on high school and going back to a high school reunion. It's kind of an interesting way to kind of have everyone be in that reminiscing state, and I think that created this really interesting energy and dynamic around the ensemble. Because, as I said, everyone sees themselves as this certain character, but when they're thrown back with all these people they knew when they were this different person from high school, it just creates so much interesting drama. And not to mention, because this is written by God of writing and directing and just God man of creation of TV and stuff, Chris Miller. He is just full on Chris Miller, amazing. It's great to see that he can do something separate and they're not always together, just being the best together. It's like, he can be perfect by himself. I think Phil Lord helped write a couple episodes, I think. But, you know, he created the show and it is a masterpiece. I think it's so well crafted. It is so funny. It's just like laugh out loud funny, second to second. Like the cast is so good. Everyone is so on fire. I think particularly the Ben Schwartz and the guy who plays Anik were just so funny, but everyone was really, really great. It's not just a really, really funny and, you know, mysterious and interesting murder mystery. It's got this, like, I don't know, pure sadness to a lot of it. Like this true kind of like haunting sadness that, like, I think is captured perfectly in the last 20 minutes when the reveal happens, which I found devastating. It broke me. But with the character Walt, the kind of character who's like, everyone remembers that guy at high school that they don't remember. Well, they don't remember him, but like in this situation, he's always like, I'm here, it's me, Walt, oh. And no one remembers his name. And at first, it's a little funny, and at times throughout the series, very funny, but honestly, mostly devastating, mostly horrifically sad. The absolute heartbreak and the pathos we get from this character, I found like chilling to the bone. It was so real, so painful to have this character, and we get the perspective of the teen drama flashback episode through his eyes, and just, I don't know, like there's always been talk of this party, and his reveal that it was his party just, oh, it broke me. I was like, oh no, oh, Walt. Oh, it really devastated me. It's such a real, true character. And all these characters get these little moments, like Anik, our kind of main character, who everyone thinks is done in the first, and we get that classic rom-com high school reunion episode that kind of sets the scene for how we think everything's looking. You know, he's popping the balloons. He's like, ooh, maybe this is sexy, popping the balloons. But he's actually stumbling all over it. And we set the scene with him. But then as he starts listening, trying to like prove that he's not the murderer, you know, set in the present day at the murder investigation while the cops are doing their investigating, and he's trying to solve it as he goes, he starts hearing and learning about everyone's nights, and his realization that he really had no idea. He's trying to like hit on Zoe all night, but he has no idea what's going on with Zoe. And then we see no one has any idea what anyone else is going through, and it's just so brilliantly crafted. And the way that he kind of starts retroactively rethinking how he's handled and like going at this situation is really, really fascinating, because that makes you start to think every single character that we see someone else look at, no, hold off judgment. I need to hear their perspective. And I think the only two ones that don't really, really, really work for me, like I still think they were really good, but like I'm talking like I thought the show was mostly a 10 out of 10, and these were kind of 7 or 8. You know, great show, but I think they kind of let it down overall. And the first one is the animation episode. What is really lacking, and you're doing stuff that you can only do in animation, Big Bear, Mama Bear, and stuff like that, but the thing that's really worked so far is the cast and their kind of chemistry with each other, and slowly learning more about each other, and then reevaluating how each other see each other, and the cast doing those different performances as different people see them, because they're always acting a little bit different. And then when we keep cutting back to like the real time, you know, after the murder, we just know so much more about them truly, and it's really great and fascinating. So when you cut to animation, I just feel like we're losing an episode where all the actors can interact and act together. So that was a little disappointing. The other episode that I thought wasn't as good, but necessary to the story, because the cop lady, I forgot her name, I'm sorry, and she's hilarious and really fun, and we can kind of get a glimpse of her personality throughout the whole series, the way she's kind of just eagerly listening to the stories sometimes getting really frustrated and bored by the stories, and all that stuff's really, really great. And she needs to prove this case. She needs to do this case because someone's coming in. He's apparently a piece of shit, so she's got to solve it. So to focus a full episode kind of revealing why that is, and then a little bit of the, you know, the plot ties in with the phone and calling and stuff, ties into the finale. But once again, because we'd had 5 episodes of all the characters interacting, this one just is like a total, you know, just her alone in a cop procedural years ago with none of the main cast. Just once again felt like I'm like, I just want to see the cast interact and have fun with each other. But if it was then only going to be 7 without it, Totally need it. Totally need it. Make it 8. Round out her character. And I have heard, because season 1, it feels like a one and done story, but I have heard that they're going to renew it for season 2, which they should, because it's a spectacular show, very, very funny. So if she's going to be the mainstay, this background story episode totally works for her character. And it was good, but it felt like just kind of a cop procedural. It didn't really feel like it was doing anything, because it wasn't showing us a new perspective of all the characters and doing everything that I've been saying that the show was doing so well. I love the fact that we got 2 little like kind of mini segments. They didn't get full episodes because we didn't need that, but in the first episode, it's kind of nice to have it in the first and last as well. And it's a black and white art house film, and she's seeing it all in this certain way, and then the cop's just like, whoa, whoa, whoa. I don't know what the hell is going on in your mind, but we've had enough of that, and that was a lot of fun, because it set the scene of what we were going to get with these genre kind of tripping like scenes and episodes, but we didn't get a full episode because that'd be too much. Really like that. And then the finale starts, and it's like, she's got one more person who I haven't investigated. I'm like, the pregnant Jennifer lady and her husband. It's them. I knew it was them because they haven't had an episode. No, it's not them. It's the child. Zoe and Brett's child. Who, might I add, is the best child actor ever. So cute, so adorable, so hilarious. Just nailing the comic timing continuously. Like, sometimes outshining the adults. I just loved her so much. She was so funny, so great, so entertaining. Like, and to see her kind of recount the events and be like, it was amazing. We were doing this and just, so fun. I don't know how they got her to do that kind of performance. It was so fun. I don't even know what kind of style her genre was. I guess because there were Muppets, it's a Muppet episode. And then it gets to the big finale, which I was hoping for some big, huge thing that kind of was satisfying, but like, it felt like it kind of wrapped everything up perfectly. What I didn't expect was to be devastated and to almost leave the series just like heartbroken. So Mrs. Cop Lady's like, I've solved it. I solved it due to things that have happened in the episode. Someone said a word and was like, door open, and she's like, I solved it. As they do in these kind of things. And you're sitting there being like, God, I hope this pays off. I hope this truly pays off. And I really think it does. Every single moment of the reveal and the revelations of the like, and then this, and like, you saw this and this, and this meant this and this, and all the things that connected. If you were like an eagle-eyed viewer, and you weren't just sitting there laughing your head off and not really overly analyzing everything, I think you could definitely pick this. I think if the actor and the character weren't so charming in helping Anique try and like solve it in like real time as she's trying to like do the investigations, I would have maybe guessed it, because it's once it gets revealed, it's like, it's so obvious. And so, spoilers, I guess, if somehow you've got to this point and you haven't seen the show, just go watch it and then come back, I guess. I mean, I'm probably going to title this spoiler review, so I don't even know why I'm saying this, but it's Jasper, Ben Schwartz. Ben Schwartz was the only actor that I knew when it started. I'm like, it's him! I love this guy! He's so good! He's Sonic! Ugh. When the cop is like, I know who's the killer, it's the one with the most outlandish episode genre. And I'm like, what? Zoe? For the animation? That's Ben Schwartz. The musical. Oh, boy. And then when it all just started to click and I realized this was the reveal, we're not getting a second double reveal after. He's not coming up with a backstory like a twist thing, and she's explaining it all, especially the bit where she's like, in everyone's story, he came in from the left, and in his story, he came in from the right. I was like, that is brilliant. That is brilliant. I did not notice that, but someone might have. Someone eagle-eyed little viewer might have. Some little Detective Poirot viewer might have been like, I knew that. I knew that. And it was so good. It was such the perfect character, because in his musical episode, we get these heartbreaking moments where he's like, yeah, sure, whatever. I'll bless your track, dude. And we get all these things where he's just like, he just doesn't care, like, about this guy and they were rapping together, they were best friends together, or doing ska or whatever the hell it was, but they were best friends in a band. But it's like, no, Ben Schwartz, he broke it off with Xavier. Like, it's just, I don't know, that reveal and just seeing like Dave Franco, who's been such a snobby kind of prick, we're like, I don't know, it sucks he's dead, but he's played such like an arrogant guy all the show. I don't know, it's hard to properly sympathize. That moment though is devastating. He's so heartbroken. Like, it's so great to see him as this super loser nerd, and like everyone's kind of changed their opinion on him because now he's famous, but back then he wasn't. And to see how it's actually everything's twisted and played, and then those moments of just seeing that musical episode, but just like from this absolute loser who hasn't let go of the past in the most disgusting, horrible way. And he's just holding this grudge, and he just kind of pathetically asks him to bless his track. But he completely dogged him back in the day and clearly never apologized and never tried to, rekindle or anything like that. And so it really just kind of shapes and changes how everything. And once again, the key thing about this show is perspective. And we saw it from his perspective. And because Ben Schwartz is such a hilarious, charming actor, he's Sonic, the most charming character. But it's just like, he's so, just charming, impossibly charming. He's so funny. He's so likable. He's so look at me, I'm just Ben Schwartz. And he's just hilarious and amazing. And I don't know, it just really shook me to my core. And then seeing the character change, his his acting, I guess, as he changed and morphed into this murderer who's just so spiteful and so bitter. It really upset me. It really, really upset me. Brilliant casting, brilliant performance, brilliant kind of tease and fake out with making it a big musical episode. I didn't even consider he was the bad guy. And his motives are the strongest. They're the most pure. Everyone else's were a bit superfluous in comparison. So this one was kind of the heart of the show. And they tricked me. I would be super, super interested if anyone else was tricked like I was, or if everyone was like, no, it's super obvious, because his motives were the most obvious for the whole show. And the way that they kind of have him and Anik trying to solve the murder in real time. Did that work for you guys as well? Or were you kind of it's clearly him because of reasons? I like that moment where he's got the phone. It's but the phone doesn't have your thing on the thing, and it's actually a different phone. And he was the one deleting it. Just, I don't know. It all clicked into place. My mind blew, but I wasn't I was oh.